And kind folks out there, hello. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ. And today is Third Pillar Thursday. As you can see to my side, the subject matter of this week has been talking about the Chosen One and all the things that it has to do with. Now, of course, if this is your first time and you're hearing about the subject matter and the Chosen One, I can hear your eyes rolling to the back of your head right now. The Chosen One? Is that how often has that been used and abused and reused and recycled and chewed and spit out and then picked up and put inside of someone else's mouth, all moist and nasty and stuff? Well, that's actually the case. And but we are here to build worlds and take subject matter for tabletop RPGs and take them and add a new spin to them. Find out the good things, at least as far as mental fuel goes, that we can use for our tabletop RPG content. And today, as Third Pillar Thursday, for those who don't know, the third pillar of gaming is the environment. You have combat, your first pillar probably, social interaction your second, and the environment, exploration, as it's called, is the third pillar. And for me, exploration is not just going into dark places or exploring unknown regions, but it is using the environment, having the environment be that third element in your tabletop RPG setting that has a useful, tangible narrative and mechanical effect. And I love it. It's much like having movies take place, movies, stories, television, graphic novels, whatever, take place in new and exotic locations that have an extreme dynamic effect on the combat. Kind of like fighting on the wing of a plane or diving down deep into the ocean and worrying about your helmet cracking and all that other kind of stuff. But what the hell does that have to do with the Chosen One? Well, I think it has a lot to do with it. Now, um, of course, this show, uh, each day we talk about different things Monday through Friday. You know, we've got Monster Monday, Discord Tuesday, World Building Wednesday, and tomorrow, Friday, we have Future Friday, but we overlap quite a bit. And for me, when it comes to the environment and exploration, of course, is if there is such an idea as the Chosen One, more likely than not, there will be, of course, you can have your proverbial um, hidden temple location, hidden from the world, in a deep mountain, undersea, I don't know, floating in the sky, who cares? But the prophecies have chosen that there's a particular location that the Chosen One will reside or rule over the world or go through the trials or something like that. So you can definitely throw something like that in. But I contend that one of the most annoying and dramatic things that's going to happen in a world in which the third pillar of exploration has a major part in it are the people themselves, the masses of people, the pilgrimages, the refugees, the gatherings, the sycophants, the worshippers, the protesters, the rebel rousers, the uh, the cheering crowds, the booing throngs. We talked about this before in our series when we talked about humans, but crowds themselves, I think, are going to have a huge impact. And not just the crowds, the throngs of people packed together to um, pay homage to those who are speaking or to witness the first image of as the divine birth is brought brought out to the ledge, and everyone gets to look upon and go ooh and ah as the child is just born, or um, the knights who has gone through the 37 trials and has removed the sword from the blazing white flame or something to take the mantle of the greatest warrior of all or what have you, and that everyone's gathering there. It's not just the people but their attitudes, and that's going to have a dramatic effect on the world. Now I understand that some game masters out there can be quite scared of interacting with crowds because, you know, it's weird to say, but crowds and mobs have their own personalities, and then of course you subdivide that down to cliques and then individuals, and making individual personalities for 587 people is not only daunting but pretty unrealistic. So just understanding the motivations of the people, and then understanding that humanoids, sentient beings, are not monoliths, and that if a large crowd is gathered to hear the spoken words of the newly appointed great leader, that when that happens, of course you're going to have way up front you're absolutely positively devoted devotees, the devout, who are absorbing every nuance and going to take that home and proselytize to their own family and friends. But you're also going to have someone there who's people who are there just investigating the story. They don't care one way or the other. Just they're going to write this down for prosperity and whatnot. You're going to have people who are rolling their eyes and going, "I'm here, but I just want to see how fake this person is." You're going to have others who are on the fence, like, "I want to believe, but I have to see it for myself." You're going to have visitors from other lands who are like, "What the hell's going on? I guess we're gathering together. I don't know what's happening." You're going to have a lot of that. You're going to have even family and friends support other people who are like, "Yeah, I'm here to support my friend. I don't believe, but I believe my friend believes, and I, am devoted to my friend, and I love my friend, and so I'm going to be there for them." You're going to have others who are thinking to themselves, like, "I used to be a devotee, and I'm here, but I've got to hear something else, because if I don't hear something else, I I'm leaving. I have to be convinced to stay." So you're going to have a lot of those nuances. Um, I always talk about turning the dial up, but in this case, it might be a slider, and the slider slides back and forth between, you know, um, the absolutely positively devoted individuals and masses, and then you're going to have others who are like, "I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench into all this," right? I mean, given a large enough population, you're going to have someone who's going to pull their pants down and take a crap, either realistically or socially, on the whole thing, whether they start protesting or making noise or passing out flyers that this person isn't the real chosen one, and things like that. Okay, so when it comes to large crowds, you can really use them to modify how they interact with your players. Even if the players are very charismatic, they have very high statistics when it comes to like intimidation, threats, persuasion, deception, things of that nature. You could modify the difficulties up and down, i.e., if you're using 5th edition, you can have advantage and disadvantage, or just make it impossible to convince people of one thing or another, especially if the words the players are using are diametrically opposed to how most of the crowd feels. Going into a throng of people when the faithful cleric is about to talk about the divine birth, and your PC is just like, Mistress McNasty, who's just like, "There's no divine birth, and this child thing is stupid." Everyone's going to look around at them and go, "Yeah, we're probably going to murder you in your sleep when this whole thing is done, so go away. I'm not impressed," right? Now, Omen says, in a dystopian society, people will likely be distrustful of people who claim to be starting something new. Um, and remember, not only would that not be true, but remember, people tend not to be monoliths, right? So you're going to have a lot of people who are like, "Listen, someone burned the world down last time. Yeah, we're not doing this thing again," right? With the coming of the chosen one, right? But then you're going to have others who, in desperate times, call for desperate measures. We've seen proven in our society that people want to have someone tell them that things will be fine. People desire to have others tell them that, "You know what, things are bad now, but if you just wait just a little longer, maybe, just maybe, if we cross this sliding line of a threshold that things will come about and things will be better. Um, how many people have predicted the end of the world, and people were like, "Oh, I can't wait for the end of the world because my life sucks right now, and if it's going to be in 10 minutes, this is perfect timing. Yeah, I'll sit and listen to you." So again, get rid of monoliths. You can pick different places in your world, maybe, where they think that way, but throwing a few, when the minority of the population sees the PCs thinking the way they do, maybe, just maybe, the PCs try to convince people that this is a lie, and 90% of the people are like, step away from me, you minuscule bastard, you feeble fool. I believe in the chosen one. And the players are like, this is not working. Sure, maybe someone in the shadows is like, psst, come here. I believe what you're saying. Maybe we can help you out. So another way of, I know this is not quite using the environment, but a way for the player characters, for you to grant the player characters successes in places. Yeah, I hear you, Palora. I remember the video. Enter the fist. Yes, very much. I'm not going to do that the whole video. There is a video with the Wii U already set. So now the sorry, got distracted with the fist entering me with a huge kung pao. Now the way of granting the player characters some kind of some ad advantages when it comes to exploring your world is that not only will they come across people that they just can't convince otherwise, it may be just discovering those who do believe the way the PCs are going, or it could be the opposite way. If the PCs are part of the chosen few that are going on their trials, maybe they're the thing you are gifting the players with are the people who are devoted to them, even though the rest of the world is rolling their eyes like, here's another chosen one group again. Here we go down that dark path. And maybe the PCs are convinced of the fact that they are part of the group, or at least trying to go through the trials, and finding those people in cities and small towns and the outskirts may be a thing. Now, when it comes to maneuvering through crowds as an exploration, as an environmental thing, crowds are finicky and fickle, right? You can intimidate them and have them run, especially if you do things like, I don't know, open gunfire, or set people on fire, or draw your battle axe and start hacking them to death. Crowds also will go the opposite way, that if you are quite disruptive, they will attack you en masse. Considering the crowd, instead of having them be individuals, you could make a crowd in and of itself a specific type of difficulty to maneuver through, and allow the option to use brute strength or dexterous maneuverability to slide your way through a crowd or push people out the way. Or you may go the more charismatic way, by either deceiving people, acting like you belong there, and blending in, or using charisma of, like, intimidation and threats, or other kinds of things, persuasion, to charm your way through a group. Excuse me, pardon me, excuse me, I got to get through here. Thank you very much. Thank you, excuse me, that kind of thing. And of course, uh, through failure and successes based on how they can go through the crowd. Maybe the higher the success, the faster they move. Maybe someone has such a great success that if they're being chased, the crowd will close behind them and prevent maybe the law enforcement or whatever to come after the PCs. Or it could work the other way around. The enemy that's maneuvering through the crowd convinces the crowd to then belabor the PCs that are trying to push through. Now, Pelora says, in the Mistborn trilogy, I've never heard of that, the Chosen One has to make a journey to a mountain to claim the power contained in it. Lots of snow. Yeah, next week we're going to talk about winter. But yes, the the proverbial journey to the place to get to the thing, to acquire the MacGuffin, to get the great power, sit on the throne, get the sword, read the scroll, meet the mentor, whatever, is a trope of the Chosen One. And what a great way to throw in half a dozen or more of these really weird, exotic locales or something, pushing through a swamp and then going to the high mountains with heavy snow, and then trudging through a desert. And who knows, maybe the trial location might just be a portal that takes one through these places, and the four seasons plus the dramatic environment starts shifting and changing in chaos, and that's part of the trial. Trudging through the sand of the desert, and all of a sudden it turns freezing cold, and then now you're going through a swamp, but then high winds come in, and then it's blazing hot, and then so on and so forth. Maybe the sun sits at its highest point for days upon end, never setting, and then at one point the sun sets and the stars wink out, and it's completely dark, and the PCs must then travel through the area in 72 hours of total darkness, and those kind of things. Bolts of lightning striking from the sky that are, I always talk about my necrotic lightning striking from the sky down at the PCs or something. Sure, you could. I mean, right off the top of my head, I could probably come up with, say, 8 environmental areas, maybe 8 damage sources, maybe come up with like a D8 for weather, and then combine all those 3 in a big chaotic morass of pain and suffering, and then throw in there some enemies that they have to fight on their way. So round by round, the PCs may be in a brutal blizzard that's freezing cold, and the wizard fails the saving throw to keep their hands from going numb and using their somatic spells, and then the next round you roll on the table and you go, oh, sorry, high winds this time, and the ranged archer or something is like, damn it, oh no. So what happens? Well, you've got disadvantage to shoot your arrows. I kind of figured that. All right, well, hopefully next time we'll have something else, like, I don't know, darkness, because I've got dark vision. That's going to help me out, so you can do that. Pelora says, when it is set, the Chosen One has already claimed the power and is the god ruler of the land. Now, again, we talked about the idea of the Chosen, the idea that it doesn't matter whether there really is a Chosen One or not, because the people that go through the trials to become the Chosen One, in effect, by success of going through the trials, may themselves be the Chosen One, if that makes sense, right? Like today, you could claim that, well, a great leader should have these 12 attributes or something, and if someone goes, oh, you know what, I'm thinking I want to achieve those 12 attributes, maybe by virtue of achieving it, they do become the embodiment of the Chosen One, whether it's arcane or not. Now, again, this Third Pillar Thursday, we're talking about the environment, along with crowds of people, and human beings have an incredible ability. We all have a great superpower, and that great superpower is our psychological ability to overcome our physical limitations. The human brain is an incredibly powerful device, and using them in this world is great, especially when it comes to people having extreme endurance and suffering of pain and that kind of thing. And so you could very much start to reskin a lot of your crowds into beings that are far more powerful than they would normally be, considering that they truly believe in the words and deeds of the Chosen One. Crowds of people who are nonplussed when you shoot them with your bow and hack at them with their sword, because they believe the Chosen One will come and heal them, or that death matters not when the Chosen One exists. I work and act and will do what the Chosen One, and if the Chosen One wishes me to die, then so be it. And I mean, hell, you could really reskin a whole crowd of normal human beings. And when I say reskin, you could reskin them as zombies or mummies or something, right? If you reskin human beings as zombies, it's as if the smiles on their faces, the the peace and serenity that they have when they surround you, even though you're hacking them half to death, they're just like, I know you hacked my arm off, but it is a chosen one that tells me that the pain that I'm going through today is nothing for the paradise that I will see later on, right? Um, yeah. Okay. Now, yes, I do know this is Third Pillar Thursday, but I'm going to bring up something that I'm going to turn something on its head. And I know many of you, even I'm looking at you, Joe Keenan, who are not fans of Dungeons and Dragons, understands what Dungeons and Dragons is. Yeah, Plura brings up, yeah, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10K run every single day. You know what? There are people who do such a thing. If I'm not mistaken, I know one of you. Come on, dead man. I know you know this. There is a there is a mantra out there that you become a master of a particular set of skills if you spend a certain number of thousands of hours doing it. I believe it's 20,000 hours. 10,000 hours. Anyway, um, people who try to master like music or sports or um, other skills, painting, public speaking, that kind of thing, is it? Yeah, thank you, Plur. 10,000 hours. There's there's the thing where people who are into specializing in something or becoming a master of something, say if you spend 10,000 hours doing a thing, you will become a master of said skill. And it could be juggling, it could be, I don't know, training pets or something like that, right? So imagine, if you will, someone sets out and goes, you will become the chosen when you perform the 10 tasks for each of 10,000 hours or whatever. By the time you finish that, the rest of me, average person, is sitting in my head going, I didn't believe in a chosen one, but shit, if you did 100,000 hours of these kind of things, I kind of like I gotta give you the slow clap on that one, you know. So yes, that that is a real thing, and I'm sure there's more than one person out there doing the polar trial of pain of 100 push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and a 10K run every day, you know. Um, oh, Plur says, I wonder how many hours I've played drums for. Uh, kitten juggling. Yeah, it's not 10,000, like 5 a week for 8 years, about 2,000 hours. Guess I'm a fifth of a master. I'll get five of you together and you'll find one master, right? Kitten juggling. I don't know. I can imagine there's someone out there uh, trying to do kitten juggling. I remember many years ago when YouTube was new, there was someone doing slow motion videos of kittens jumping and falling through the air, and it kind of got in trouble for it. But when you see the videos, they were like falling like, I don't know, a foot, 2 feet or something. But in slow motion, it looked like someone was literally throwing these kittens like 50 feet in the air. It was crazy. Thank you, Tesla. Tesla did the math on math on that. Yeah, 10,000 hours is quite a lot of time. I mean, a number of hours when you have a regular life, which is why people who master things give up their lives. Now, I'm going to bring up something, and I want you guys to follow me down this deep, dark rabbit hole into Dungeons and Dragons. Um, Even if you hate the game, follow me on this because it's kind of dark, and it made me think about it while I was out there. Now, Deadman says 10,000 hours is about 5.5 years for an average job to become a master. Really? That's it? I thought it would be more than that. Um, so in Dungeons and Dragons, there's a classic spell called Bless, and of course we have subsets of that spell. Guidance and Resistance come to mind. There are also character classes. I bring up the bardic character class, and the bardic inspiration ability of the bard that speaks and grants things to characters and NPCs and people in the world. Now follow me on this. We have a gaming effect where someone is gifted with the ability to make other people better in their lives. Okay, so we can very easily extrapolate this out to a person, either they themselves are the chosen one, or they are looking or trying to guide the chosen one. Either way, the words and deeds of this person, imagine, if you will, someone comes up to you, taps you on the shoulder, places their hand, you have that warm feeling, and they look you in the eye and they say, just take a deep breath and believe. Just believe. Keep the words, the name of the chosen one on your lips, and your whatever you desire to come about will be better. And then all of a sudden, listening to that advice, keeping the word of the name of the chosen one on your lips, you are better for it. You are 5 to 20% better achieving, physically, running, jumping, swimming, mentally figuring things out, being more charismatic, being more skillful, survival, your saves, your skill checks, your ability checks become better. Thereby, there is a tangible effect that you are better for having listened to or embraced the idea of the chosen one, right? So, now follow me on this deep path. What if the person who's out there with the bardic inspiration telling others to listen to the coming of the chosen one, or the cleric who's out there who's, raising their hands and closing their eyes and saying, hey, follow the tenets of the divine, for ye shall be better in your lives? What if they're an asshole? What if they're evil? What if their tenets go so far away from what you would ever believe? And yet, if you follow what they say, you are better for it. You know what? I don't believe they believe in, I don't know, what's really bad. They believe in child seal rape or something, right? They have their own um pedophilic faction. Like they deserve to die. And yet listening to them makes my life better. People listen to me. I'm more charismatic. That moment when I should have died, when I fell off the wagon, I actually lived. Does that mean that they're correct? Right? It just made me think of what a very simple gaming mechanic, when looked at from the eyes of the narrative within that world, how it would affect that, right? Because if these people are complete bastards and they start gaining a throng of others whose lives begin changing, they're better for it. They're stronger on the battlefield. They are more musically inclined. They were trying to build their house and it didn't work, but when the great priest, or the old hermit that came from the mountaintop, who said, yes, the coming of the dark lord will be here, when I listened to him and I went to build my house, I made a couple of mistakes, but now it's better, you know. And yeah, Joseph Keenan's like, that's the problem with a lot of the other woo peddlers that are selling miracles nowadays. Yeah. And remember, is it a placebo effect? Like, now, mind you, I'm making fun of the games, right? But what if the bless spell is just a placebo effect? Like, if I listen to them, I'm better, but the only reason I'm better is because I believe that what they're telling me is going to make me better. So I get the bonus to my skill roll, or my saving throw, or my attribute roll, or whatever the case might be, right? And therefore, that placebic effect happens. And so when you're the person who's counter to that, you're going, listen, guys, we shouldn't be listening to this person, but anecdotally, they are better for it. Yeah, dice superstitions. I'm just making a case of the narrative shaping the mechanics shaping the narrative. Um, Dead Man and Tesla still doing the math, or that. Working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's a lot of. You're gonna have to have somebody support you if you spend 2.9 years working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week to master something, right? You can't really drop your life unless you're independently wealthy and absolutely focused. Yep. So, thank you. Yep. Joseph Keenan says that chiropractor has cured my cancer 6 times in the last year. Now, how many times have we human beings are exceptionally um, dynamic when it comes to taking completely unrelated events and stringing them together as reasonable results, right? The chiropractor that cured your cancer 6 times is probably never ever going to be a true thing, but the person who went to the chiropractor and found out that their cancer went into remission is going to think that. Most public performers, I am talking superstition, but I'm saying, like, how many people who gamble, how many people who are public performers, sports, entertainment, perform a ritual that is emblematic of the moment that gave them their success in the first place, right? Someone will wear their lucky whatever it is because they wore their lucky MacGuffin last time, their lucky totem, whether it's a penny or a ring or something. Some people will drink or eat a particular meal before performing in front of everyone because that was the thing that they gave them. So yeah, superstition has a lot to do with it. And when combining the superstition with a chosen one who says, hey, guess what? That thing that you felt was superstition is a real thing. That there's power in superstition. And I think it runs in line with the mechanical effects in the world. Oh man. Polaris is just because I have I guess the book 1984 on the brain. You could have a chosen one who doesn't exist, like Big Brother, not very third pillary. Well, here's the thing, right? Like uh, a, a chosen one that doesn't exist, but there's a lie that the chosen one does exist, or and is supported by everyone else. I think that's a real, yeah. That's that's a truism of life, right? The idea that there is a big brother. There are people today who are like, yeah, Big Brother's listening to us, and they're out there, and they're real and true. Now, how much that goes into fantasy and things that are proven, yeah. Lots of people are like, yeah, on my phone I hear clicking. That's them listening in on my phone calls, right? So, yes. Now, turning this back into third pillarisms, okay? Uh, yeah, the deep state, exactly. Now, turning this back when it comes to the environment and exploration and things of that nature, because I love using the environment, how cool would it be to live in a world where the people um, are changing the world around you because of the coming of the chosen one? Riots, uh, the burning and collapsing of buildings, setting fire to things, destruction, random terrorist acts of spilling of acid and explosions and setting fire to people and firing into crowds and such, the destruction of themselves because of their devotion to the chosen one. You have governments doing things that are setting up barriers or sectioning off parts of cities for unknown reasons. You're going to have a spy-like state, a Big Brother state where brother and sister watches brother and sister and other doing their thing, where it's very hard to remain hidden and hide. We've already seen these things happen where people build walls to keep the people in, and soldiers, your fellow man is given a weapon and enlisted into the machinations of their governments to watch each other. Um, McCarthyism and the, the worst, the very worst portions of the communist state. We here in the United States, we have the idea that one political faction is watching the other political faction and waiting for them to just make yet one more mistake. And imagine PCs are walking around in this world of paranoia and never knowing that they could. What if they go into your average? Let's take your average D&D city, right? And they go into your average Dungeons and Dragons city, and lo and behold, they go into the tavern, and all of a sudden, someone throws a Molotov cocktail into the place for no good reason. PCs walk outside, and there's a big riot, and they're beating people about the head and shoulders with sticks and machetes. Um, they walk to someone's like, I'm going to the blacksmith, I'm going to go to the library, and the thing is burning and collapsing in the street as people are chanting or whatever, or people are dressed in robes, blindfolded, speaking mantras that are in an ancient language, and the PCs are like, "What are they doing?" And all of a sudden, they drink a concoction, and suddenly, you start getting a whole ton of chest bursting happening just in the middle of the street for no good reason, or no good reason that the PCs know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely a thing. Um, Omen says, don't want to go too biblical or religious, but I've always entertained the thought of a mechanical antichrist for a story or setting. Uh-oh, don't get Joseph Keenan started. um, yeah, like instead of man, you instead get a supercomputer like Skynet from Terminator. Oh hell yeah, we're going to talk about that one. Oh, man. Now, or AM from I Have No Mouth. I'm not familiar with that at all. Maybe I'm just old. Joseph Keenan brings up the the canon and other militia movements. Yeah. I mean, hell, how many militia movements have been motivated because of A, some sort of religious motivation, or B, the assumption that there is an individual who has a religious motivation. So remember, Omen, you brought that up. There is the idea of the state supporting very, very deviant acts because of their belief in the divinity of their leadership, right? Omen says like some evil supercomputer that tortures people forever simply because it hates humanity. Of course, yes, simply because it hates humanity. Yeah, hell yeah. Um, AM is Allied Master Computer. I did not know that. Oh, I did not know that. The QAnon conspiracy nutters who shot up the pizza place in DC. Yes, yes. Hell, there are conspiracy theory people now that believe there probably is a supercomputer, and I mean, let's take the idea of preppers, right? And there are subcategories of preppers out there today, and they believe the coming of the destruction of the world, and turn the volume up to 11 and have the PCs have to deal with that kind of thing. Yeah, of course, and if the PCs are involved in something, maybe they are questioned by random strangers. Who are you? Why are you here? Why are you dressed that way? Um, why is your tattoo looks like the message from the one whose name shall not be spoken? And the PCs looks at their arm and they're like, that's attached tattoo of a dragon, like I what yeah, I mean, maybe the world is becoming chaotic in and around the ears of the PCs. Also, there is the idea of, I brought this up before, about lots of lots of stories of oracles and fates and predictions and such deal with a number of coincidental effects happening all together. They don't have to be coincidental. They could be very arcane and on purpose. But when what's a good example? When the sun rises in the sky and never sets for 3 days, could be a thing that happens in your world, and all of a sudden lakes start drying up, food starts dying on the crops, and there are food shortages. I'm looking at you, Joe Keenan. You mentioned that before. What about the idea that the environment starts to change in weird and strange places? Plant life starts coming to life. Um, normal human normal Like I said before, normal pets become dire versions of themselves. um instead of normal rain, it's acid rain. Instead of a regular desert, the desert sands turn black and they're burning, burning from below. Or those necrotic lightning bolts I love so much start dropping out the sky at the unfaithful. Maybe some of these dangerous, arcane, elemental, reskinned effects that happen in your world are being manipulated or motivated or altered by the crazy and the faithful and the superstitious and such. Um, kind of strange for that faction of kooks who are standing out there under the blazing purple clouds with black necrotic lightning striking down, and none of them are getting hit because they are feigning themselves to death, right? Uh, Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, Um, so yeah, when the Cthulhuids start popping out of the chests and mouths and anuses of the population because of their devotion to the Cthulhuid mythos, and the player character's like, I don't believe in that. Whoa, do I have to be attacked by a tentacle commanding someone's anus? And the dungeon master's like, yeah, roll for your saving throw. You're like, right. Um, Pelor brings up, though John Connor is treated as a chosen one. Yeah, yes, very much so. The whole Terminator series is about the coming of John Connor, who leads the rebel forces to destroy Skynet, right? Yeah, Pelor goes on to say, which is an interesting take on it. Chosen because of future actions he will do, rather than because of a past prophecy says he will do them, and kind of a weird self-fulfilling prophecy. The Skynet says that John Connor will take them down. Therefore, John Connor is the chosen, which will take down Skynet in the first place, right? They brought about their own downfall by their mission to destroy John Connor in the first place, right? If the Terminators never came back in time, and of course we have a paradox here, right? The Terminators never created time travel, not Terminators, Skynet never designed time travel to go back in time to kill John Connor. Maybe John Connor will grow up to be, I don't know, bus driver, plumber, maybe a person who sells sneakers in Foot Locker in the local mall, and then later on, I don't know, does like yard art out of auto parts or something, right? Like you know what I mean? Might just have like a regular, mundane but fulfilled life who lives and dies with a normal family and never ever thinks of Skynet till it's too late, you know? Yeah, it's like sounds like fatal DBJ stuff coming out of the butt. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, roll for anal circumference. You might fall in. No. Yeah. Oh, but yes, exactly. Yep. Got sci-fi on the brain. I think Joe Key's sitting there like, hell yeah, got sci-fi on the brain. Oh man. Like Minority Report, psychically looking for a chosen one to fulfill a particular prophecy. Not sure I'm explaining it right. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, thank you, dead man. This mailman has a tentacle coming out of his ass. No, 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 no. Minority Report is the let's see, how can we Minority Report, the psychics who are used to for pre-crime. A crime, a a lethal crime is about to happen in the future, so the pre-crime police officers are given evidence to run around and capture the person who is about to commit a murder. And the psychics, the three psychics, are the ones who get the evidence to find the person who's about to commit the crime, who of course is arrested before they do it. And the Minority Report is that two of the psychics get the information, but there's a third one that disagrees. Yeah, and then there are files created about that. Now, Joe Key says, continues to say, um, goes to say that when the going gets bad, droughts and famines, that is when people give up logic and turn to the mythical. Millennium cults, the different plagues, the Dust Bowl all had mystic religious revivals because of the physical disasters going on. I can't agree with you more. that is a thing that happens, right? When chaos reigns, the world around you, you don't understand it, or when the world gets to such a place that no human factor will change it, or at least change it anytime soon, all of a sudden, religious and mystical things start coming about because we hope things will change, right? When there, like you said, when there's a drought, people pray for rain. Now, that prayer might just be a general, like, oh, please let there be rain. There might be a literal prayer, God or whatever godling individual, please bring me rain. There may be rituals involved in it. I'm going to slay my animal to for the gods because maybe that will bring me rain, and so on and so forth. And you can do all kinds of permutations with that. So if there is a slight chance of a chosen one or a person to achieve the chosen one status to bring about rain, if there's droughts and famine, it's going to happen. And with, say, droughts and starvation and things, people get real panicky and do desperate things and become desperate. I can imagine reskinning human beings as cannibals and reskinning them as ghouls in your world, right? They're not literal ghouls, meaning like the gamified, arcane history, blah blah. No, no, no. There are roving bands of cannibals who have affected of themselves into such a way that they are ghouls at this point. There might be brutal people beating other people about the head and shoulders, and they are physically reskinned like ogres or trolls who are mutated or something of that nature, with the physical power of them because of their devotion to they are so zealot, so much of a zealot in their beliefs that like, yeah, reavers, yep, exactly, like the reavers in Firefly. Oh, ooh, the brain. But yeah, reavers are the same thing. Reskinning, reflavoring, reusing, reshaping things in our own games. Hell yeah, do that. Do that like the norm. You know what I mean? How nasty? And you could go. Let's go even darker with this. I know this is Third Pillar Thursday, but I'm going off on a tangent on this one. But could you imagine the PCs being attacked by people so devoted to their beliefs that literally a PC could slice someone's stomach open and that person could grab their own entrails and try to choke the hell out of a PC with their own entrails, right? Like a PC cut someone's arm off and they use their other hand to pick up their severed arm and use it as a club or something. I mean, yeah. Um, Suicide cults. Uh, the PCs being attacked by people that are, I don't know, there's acid, poison, oozes, flames, other kinds of magic that they know will kill themselves, but if they jump upon the PC, they themselves, yep, spray the face, you know, Chrome going to Valhalla, jumping off, slow motion jumping off of vehicles, going through the desert. Hell yeah. What is it? The the and someone had to tell me this. The praying before the steering wheels with the fingers like steepled like this, which is a V8 engine, um, praying that they will go to Valhalla simply to die in a vehicular battle in Mad Max Fury Road. What a great way. Yeah, witness me. You know, I mean, what? I mean, come on. Can you get crazier than that? And remember, listen, DMs and GMs out there. I'm gonna tell you a little secret. You're not gonna run out of NPCs. You're not gonna run out of monsters. Let them kill themselves. So let your PCs get the off them one at a time. So what? Just the book. There's no limit. Just make new ones come. They come out of the woodworks. Let them destroy all the creatures and things you have in your world. Don't hold on to them. Kill your darlings. So what? There's always more out there for you to go. Oh man, I had this great idea with this battle, but they took them out in one shot. Okay, let's come up with something else. You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Deadman brings up the Nurgle cultists in 40K spreading plagues. Yeah, I mean, and what a great horror-like element to add into the world when the PCs can't trust anyone because at any moment, any one of them could be a plague carrier. They could, I don't know, vomit up some living psychic ooze, or someone's brain explodes, or something does, chest bursts or whatever. They're the suicide cults each have their own strange uh, cults of death and rebirth, and maybe some of those suicide cults are true, meaning, yeah, I'm setting myself on fire and going to attack you because guess what? I'm going to live on, and maybe the flesh burns off their body and they're flaming skeletons now, like until they're doused in or whatever or something, right? Like maybe there's a truism in your world, like the Reavers, uh, hey, if I eat enough flesh of my fallen enemies, I too will transform from, I don't know, a reskinned ghoul into a reskinned troll to then achieve my third level of transcendence when I become a Rakshasa. And I don't mean those actual names. I'm talking like transcending from level to level in your world or setting or something. Yeah, hell yeah. And that makes your the PCs that are murder hobos in your world rethink. They look around and they're like, all these zero level human beings are really scary because they could very easily become CR5s. That you get what I'm saying, right? Maybe not murder hobos, maybe metagamers or something, right? So Joseph Keenan says the funny thing is after World War One, the religious mystical trends went down because of the stuff that the vets went through in the trenches. Yeah, yeah. I can't sell Dan Carlin's Hardcore History series enough. That, now, mind you, it's a very long listen, but if you're into history, especially World War One, oh my God, Countdown to Armageddon, oh, that's a great series, and they talk about trench warfare and the upwards of 60 million people that died in World War One, and yeah, the the fluctuation of the I could imagine both things happening in the setting of the chosen one, right? Everyone who goes off to war is full of righteous indignation, like I am going to fight for the one true, and they get there in war, and months, years later, they're just like, F this is, they come back home with not an ounce of religious fever, but everyone back home who didn't believe in it, now that the world is going to crap, they now have such a high of religious doctrine that there's this like switching of dichotomies and stuff. So I like that. I like it a lot. Um, it goes on to say the cannibals in The Road. Oh yeah, what a dark movie. But it's The Road. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a great movie. Out of practicality instead of a bloodlust or perverse reason. Yeah. Having you can the movie The Road, yes, what a great way to all you need to do in your world to make it special or scary or depressing even or disgusting is have all your simple tropes out there, right? Your cannibals, you have your murderers, you have your monsters. All you do is just tweak the motivations, right? They're not cannibals because they're evil. They're cannibals out of practicality. It was necessity for them to do such a thing, and they could still be just as violent, just as scary. But imagine being attacked by them, and they're just like, "I'm sorry, I have to do this. I'm so sorry," while they're crying and they're trying to hack at you with daggers and cut the meat out of you or something, and they're passing chunks of flesh and internal organs to their kids and stuff, because they need them to eat and everything, and there's a spit with a human torso on it as they're turning it and stuff. I mean, yeah, of course. Joseph says the road movie was dark in the book more so, but still must read watch. Yeah. Vigo Vigo Mortensen was the main actor in that, and whew, wow. And yeah, Mortensen is the yeah Mortensen. I whatever. A great actor, by the way. Of course, we know. Yeah, and and remember, in this world, as it starts shifting and changing, like if I'm not, if I'm remembering correctly, when the world starts going to crap, his wife is looking at the husband and child, and one day she just gives up. She takes off her coat. It's all cold and misty out there, and she, what is it, um the fallout, the permanent fog, the permanent ash that was falling out of the sky. And she basically just takes her coat off and wanders off into the distance because, because that's what you do to, commit suicide, right? Suicide by. In here in the States, we have people who try to commit suicide by cop. There will be people out there that will like, the NPC with the smile on their face, baking pastries for the PCs the last 8 sessions. On the ninth, yep, suicide by exposure. On the ninth session, that PC with the smile on their face closes up shop, and PCs are like, "Hey, I thought we were going to get pastries," and they go, "Oh no, I baked extra for you. I'm just going to walk down to the river and just drown myself. So you guys eat. I'm glad you love my pastries. I'm going to commit suicide." And that might be the big thing that makes your players go, what? Wait, what just happened? No, they just drowned themselves. And you're like, no, seriously, what happened? No, they took their clothing off and walked into the water and decided not to swim. They drowned them. Yeah, yes, I'm letting you know. And their PC's like, what? You mean we could have stopped them? Yes, I'm telling you right now, the person, well, yes, they did this thing. And they're just like, whoa, what the hell just happened? What's going on? You know what I mean? Um, yeah, yeah, Omen's like, yeah, suicide exposure. Another interesting concept you ask me, not that I plan to do it. Yes, cautionary tales, right? Like you mentioned before. Also saying suicide by drowning requires a heavy weight, though. Oh, okay. They pick up a brick. Oh, that's true. That is true because you could just float there. But yes, you are correct, right? Pasta eating heretics. Yeah, pours like to a flip. No, but in all honesty, right? If you, not just having suicide cults, but people giving up, the normalcy of the world starts to shift and change when people start giving up of their lives to make other things happen. So PCs come into town 3 or 4 times and everything's nice and normal, and then they come back into the town and there are, I don't know, they've piled up, I don't know, 5,000 cows that they've set on fire, and people are pulling the foundations down of the local temple, and they're spray painting. I don't know, the modern setting, spray painting on walls, or there are people who've decided to take of themselves and have their friends and family staple themselves to the doors of local homes, or have their torso strapped to the walls while they take a very sharp or serrated knife and start to try to cut off their limbs with one arm or something. Like, I mean, poking their eyes out with needles because they this world is not for the sighted, but they will see in their souls the coming of the chosen one, right? And having these really strange, bizarre, dark things happen in the world, and the skin, using a sharp blade to skin their flesh off their bones and whatnot. Yeah, I think this could be in my mind, I'm already seeing this world transforming around the PCs, and of course transforming around the other people, the normies, who are like, whoa, I thought I was like Joe Average and everyone else is just diving deep into this religious, chosen, fated, one will come kind of policy. Hell, all the people who are going to travel the world to achieve the pinnacle of being the chosen one, and misreading the scriptures, misreading the trials, not succeeding in the trials and hurting themselves, um like, for example, um, the chosen one will will climb to the highest peaks, look to the sky, and trust in their devotion that they will step off and walk among the clouds, right? Uh, how many different buildings, mountains, bridges, cliff sides will people go up there, look into the sky, smile on their face, step off, fully thinking that they're just going to walk across the clouds and fall to their doom, smashed against the rocks, right? When the PCs come to town and everyone points to the side and points up into the mountain range and goes, "Oh, Red Mountain? Yeah, it's up there." And it's red because of all the dead bodies that have smashed against the side of the mountain. You know, how many times will that happen? Yet Owen says, I already created something like that. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It'll be a thing. And that in and of itself may start to transform the world. Twisting this back to the third pillar that is my personal specialty. As yourself appointed third pillars of the game, tabletop gaming community, I did go off the rails a little bit. But humanity itself twisting and changing their society, and then twisting and changing the things around them. Hell, they could carve the likeness of the face of the chosen one into that mountain range that the PCs have been going through for the past couple of decades, right? Um, you know, creating great works, not just destruction, but the creation of great works may be a thing. Yep, Omen says a false messiah who tells people, if you are a true believer, jump from my tower. Hell yeah, absolutely. Um, it's the Pelora 100 push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, thing. How many people, if someone were to be told, if you sit by the chosen one's right hand, they will bring you into the divine, but you must become mentally and physically superior to all. You must make yourself, your body must be forged of iron and your soul forged of steel. How many people would do that? There are definitely people who are like, wait a minute, you mean all I have to do is like eat broken glass and learn to be able to lift a small car and flip it over? You mean that's all I have to do to become like the right hand of the divine? Hey, listen, I'm breaking a glass right now. Cheers. You know what I mean? So people will do those things, and their transformative elements, I think, would happen in the world when PCs are normally used to like, I'll use my thieves skills and open that lock, and come to find out that people are barricading themselves in their homes because of the rampaging crowds. When the PCs have no safe place to go because one by one homes are being set on fire. And then, of course, you have all of the accoutrement that I love in third pillar gaming, right? Where fire, smoke, of course, you have difficult terrain, you have cover. You don't remember, darkness isn't the only thing that is ignored through dark vision, right? Dark vision can't see through smoke, it can't see through fog. It can't see through solid objects. Reskinning those pit traps and yeah, an 80s workout montage. Hell yeah. Oh man. That's so funny. But yes, coming up with ways to reshape, reskin, reuse the things that already exist out there. I posted in the Absolute Tabletop Facebook group about exploration and a foundry, a forge, right? But who's to say that random, I'm going to reskin a collapsing ceiling as random stuff, buildings collapsing in and around the PCs when people are like knocking them over and setting them on fire. I'm going to reskin flaming sphere, burning hands, fireball, wall of fire as buildings are set ablaze. I'm going to reskin fall cloud spell as smoke or something. I'm going to have them make con saves or start choking. And of course, if you're choking, maybe you gain a level of exhaustion, or you become mute because you're choking. Therefore, you can't use verbal spells because you're choking from all the smoke and the riots going on. And oh, by the way, around the corner, everybody roll a d6. If you roll a 1, a rampaging mob is going to come around to try to kill you. And sure, maybe the PCs can very easily take out the mob, but if the PCs also are after a specific MacGuffin or a certain enemy that has nothing to do with the mob, maybe that becomes a thing. It's that third thing. It's like, oh, here comes the mob again. All right, now I got to deal with the mob and my enemy, which could be anything, you know. Sure. So anyway, guys, we've passed the hour mark because I love to do that. Thank you very much for joining me. Tomorrow is Future Friday, of course, and with Future Friday, we're going to talk all things from um, modern-ish to the far-flung future. We kind of go back to, like, say, Victorian age with automobiles and firearms and factories and things like that, all the way to the modern age and out to the far future. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Um, I cannot express to you how much it makes me feel good that you spend your valuable time here. So I hope you're able to leave with a little bit of change. Everyone, have a great one. I'll see you later. See you tomorrow. Bye.